is a special report from News 3 WSIL.
Hello again, I'm Mark Kiesling. Tonight we're talking with a local community leader about COVID-19, asking just how much it's impacted the communities we call home. In tonight's COVID conversation, we're looking into the impact on local business, organizations, and community events. And for that, I turn it over to my co-anchor, Julie Williams.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. We're joined tonight by Mr. William Lowe, the director of the Carbondale Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Lowe, thank you so much for being here this evening. We appreciate it. Now, I think a lot of people, we've heard the term Chamber of Commerce. I guess kind of break it down. What do you do?
So there's four things we focus on. We focus on networking, marketing, advocacy, and mentorship. So networking, we have different committees, we have different events, membership luncheons, where you get to kind of mingle with other members, other business owners, other people that are actively vested in the community. That's a good way, if you're doing air conditioning, you get to talk with, a good swath of people. That way later on they're like, oh, hey, I remember meeting you at this luncheon, can you come take a look at my air conditioning? We do advocacy. We work with, especially for Carbondale, we work with, locally with the city government. We have a government affairs committee where, if there's any issues the business is going through and they need to address to the city, we're kind of their spokesperson. We'll go to the city and, we communicate with the city on a daily basis. I work with, a couple of the city members. So, if there's any issues, we can help address that. Mentorship, we work with the Small Business Incubator. So if you want to start a business, you don't know where to turn to, usually the chamber and then the Small Business Incubator are a good place to start at because we have the networks, we have the people, we know how to, get the word out and then get you the resources that you need to start your business so you're not kind of lost. And then also marketing, we do a lot of social media marketing, we do different events. We do a golf scramble. We do a banquet dinner once a year, and you can sponsor that so you get your name out because if you sponsor it, your name is on all the different flyers and brochures and on social media, so you get all that exposure through the chamber.
So you deal a lot with Carbondale businesses. Then, from your experience, how has this pandemic, affected what they do every day almost?
Yeah, I think it's been tough. I don't think it's exclusive to Carbondale. Every community is going through the same thing, with just different mandates. Now we have supply chain issues on top of, just, overall different things. It's tough, we have to pivot.
Yeah, big time. You have to adjust. And, it seems like, as someone who's seeing this news come down, businesses closing. Has Carbondale been hit especially hard, or do you think it's kind of across the board, these businesses having to deal with closures?
Yeah, I think it's across the board. Luckily, I think Carbondale, we love our businesses and we love our restaurants. So I think a lot of people will intentionally go out and eat more, to shop locally more, just to kind of support them because they know it's a tough time.
And you actually founded or helped found Southern Illinois Eats, right? Walk me through what that is.
So me and my wife, 2.5 years ago, three years ago? I think almost 3 years ago, we were tired of watching local restaurants close. We watched Fat Patty's in Carbondale close. I think it's Newell House, they closed, and we need to do something because, it's hard. Restaurants, it's tough, and there's a lot of variables. So we always wanted to start like a blog or like a like a YouTube series to kind of promote local restaurants because we love to eat. And then we're like, well, why don't we do something that can do good? So we pretty much made a Facebook group to kind of showcase the restaurants we love to eat at, and that we were expecting maybe like 500-600 people just to kind of for grins and giggles. But it's really blown up. I think we're close to 45,000 members.
Wow. And so you actually started that page before the pandemic. Have you seen it change or evolve since the pandemic started?
Yeah, I think right when the pandemic started, I think I created a huge master list, for restaurants on who had curbside, who was open, who was closed, and what everybody was offering, just to kind of get the word out. And people, there was no centralized resource. No one knew what everybody was doing. So I figured if I make a list, people can just, oh, well, I'm in, Anna today. What can I eat at? What are they offering? And it'll be on the list, and then they'll go out and, they'll spend money.
And working so closely with businesses and even new businesses in Carbondale, how have you seen them, evolve for the pandemic? Like you mentioned, a lot of restaurants offering, those curbside pickup options.
Yeah.
How have, I guess, businesses as a whole had to kind of evolve?
I think online, before the pandemic, I don't think a lot of local restaurants and businesses in general had an online presence. But now they know that that's really important. So they're online, and then that's really changed, how they keep supplies and just because you can never really tell.
Yeah.
And then that just, I think businesses are starting to run a little more lean, a little more efficiently to kind of, that way they can pivot easily.
Yeah, have to make up for, the challenges they're facing. And I think a lot of us are anxious to kind of, get back to, real life, so to speak, back out in the world. Carbondale's Halloween party is coming up. What are you hopeful for with that event?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up during I would say you could say golden days of Carbondale. My parents' restaurant was on the Strip, so I get to see the parties and everything. So I think, we're just trying to bring a little bit of that festivities back to get people out, safely, and then, to people to enjoy themselves. I think the city has created a special zone so they can kind of be outside, drink and listen to music and whatnot. And I think it'd be good. I look forward to that being, a staple every year, and hopefully it'll bring more business to the Carbondale town.
Great, and I think a lot of us are looking forward to that too.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Lowe, I want to thank you so much for joining us for tonight's COVID conversation. We will have this entire interview, and we also have much more COVID-19 information on our website. That's WSILTV.com.